Welcome to A Guide to Every Deck in EDH. Today we are looking at Baba Lysaga Night Witch. So Baba Lysaga is a 3-mana Golgari commander. She's a 3/3 and she has tap, sacrifice up to 3 permanents. If there were 3 or more card types among the sacrificed permanents, each opponent loses 3, you gain 3, and you draw 3 cards. So basically we want to have cards that are multiple card types so that we can sack fewer permanents in order to draw the cards, or we want cards that when we sack them, they generate tokens or get us some kind of value other than what they have on their face. So starting us off, we've got some very simple card draw. Black Market Connections is particularly good in this deck because it can create a shapeshifter creature and a treasure token, which is already 2 different things for Baba Lysaga to sacrifice. We're also going to be playing lots of creature fodder for Baba Lysaga, so of course Skull Clamp is necessary. And then in the combo section, there's some very simple Chain of Smog plus Witherbloom Apprentice, and then Genesis Chamber produces an artifact creature token whenever another creature enters the battlefield, so right there, that's already 2 types for Baba Lysaga anytime a creature enters. We have a little bit of fast mana just to make sure that Baba Lysaga comes out quicker. And obviously, we don't want to be playing Baba Lysaga and then just have her sit and play without doing anything for a turn, so haste is a huge necessity here. So as much haste as we can get, so Concordant Crossroads, Hall of the Bandit Lord, Instill Energy, which doubles as a way to also untap it, same thing with Thousand Year Elixir and Tyvar, and of course Lightning Greaves. Some fairly stock standard lands in the Golgari colors. One note is that Urza's Saga is also an enchantment, so you can not only sack the Urza's Saga with its final trigger on the stack in order to still get the trigger, but also have fodder for Baba Lysaga, but it is also 2 card types. And the same thing is going to be said for artifact lands, so Tree of Tales, Vault of Whispers. Then of course we've got all of our mana ramp, and in this case, again, cards that are multiple different card types, just in case we want to sack them. So Coppermere and Leadenmere are both artifact creatures, same thing with Ornithopter of Paradise, and Sanctum Weaver is both a creature and an enchantment. We also have Lano or Loam Speaker over here, which can animate a land into a creature, so we can sack that animated land, and that counts as both a land and a creature. And Tireless Provisioner creates food or treasure tokens whenever we have a land enter the battlefield, so that is more fodder. We have a little bit of removal, of course, like some interaction we of course need. Grave Pact and effects like this are going to be particularly good since we're sacking permanents anyway, we can make use of them. A little bit of tutoring, including GSZ. And then these are the cards that didn't neatly fall into any of the other categories, but they all kind of work with Baba Lysaga. So Nimblewright Schematic, Prize Statue, Servo Schematic, and Myrrsire. So what do these all do? Well, Nimblewright Schematic is when it enters or dies, you create a 1/1 artifact token. Prize Statue is enters or dies, you create a treasure token. Servo Schematic, enters or dies, create an artifact creature token. And Myrrsire is when it dies, create a 1/1 artifact creature token. So all of these are great Baba Lysaga fodder, especially these 3 here because they create tokens on enter and death. Ramunap Excavator, just so that we can get back Saga or some of the artifact lands, so we have more fodder with that. Tough Cookie is both an artifact and a creature, and when it enters, it creates a food token, so that's more fodder. And then the rest of the cards here are going to follow similarly. So Demonic Lore is when it enters, you draw 3, and at the beginning of your end step, you lose 2 life for each card in your hand. And Treacherous Blessing is when it enters, you draw 3, but whenever you cast a spell, you lose 1 life, and whenever it becomes the target of a spell or ability, sacrifice it. So they're both 3-mana enchantments that draw 3 when they enter, but then they have some kind of drawback, but we can mitigate that drawback by just sacking them to Baba Lysaga. Then we've got cards that, again, create multiple tokens. So Welcome to Sweet Tooth, on its first chapter, creates a human token. On its second chapter, it creates a food token. So this alone, if you're willing to wait a turn for it, produces 3 different permanents of 3 different types. So it alone is 1 big sack fodder for Baba Lysaga. We've also got Ulvenwald Mysteries. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, you investigate, meaning you create a clue. And whenever you sack a clue, you create a human token. So this is good at just spewing out more fodder after we sack things. Fey Offering is at the beginning of each end step. If you've cast both a creature spell and a non-creature spell, you create a clue and a food and a treasure. So it creates 3 different artifact tokens for more fodder. We've got Rancor and Spreading Algae. These are 1-mana enchantments that come back after they die. So Rancor, of course, buffs a creature. That's not the relevant part. The relevant part is that when Rancor dies, it returns to your hand. And Spreading Algae enchants a swamp. When the enchanted land becomes tapped, you destroy the land. And when Spreading Algae dies, you return it to your hand. So again, this is just another 1-mana enchantment that you can bring back to your hand when it dies. And then finally we have Biotransference. This is a 4-mana enchantment, and it says creatures you control are artifacts in addition to their other types. The same is true for creature spells you control and creature cards you own that aren't on the battlefield. And whenever you cast an artifact spell, you lose 1 life and you create a 2/2 black Necron Warrior artifact creature token. So basically, all of your creatures are also artifacts, meaning every creature is at least 2 types for Baba Lysaga, and every artifact that you cast produces an artifact creature token. So everything here is just lots and lots of fodder for Baba Lysaga, and these are the best cards in that category. And then finally, we've got a few more cards. So Benefactor's Draw and Legolas's Quick Reflexes are both ways of drawing more cards, because we've got the ability to untap Baba Lysaga. So Benefactor's Draw untaps all of your creatures and replaces itself because it's a cantrip. And Legolas's Quick Reflexes is both a protection spell for Baba Lysaga that also untaps it, and it's pseudo removal because whenever the creature becomes tapped, it also deals damage. And then Not Dead After All. So this is a way of bringing a creature back that you have die. It also produces a Wicked Roll token. That token is an enchantment, so that's more fodder for Baba Lysaga. But in particular, Not Dead After All combos very well with Eternal Witness. So you can not dead your Eternal Witness, sack the Witness to Baba Lysaga, the Eternal Witness will come back. It will get a enchantment token attached to it, and then the Eternal Witness can target the Not Dead After All to bring it back to your hand. So it's not an infinite combo because you don't get infinite mana out of it, so you can't just do it over and over and over. But it is a way to just constantly have Witness plus an enchantment token on the field for at least 2 different types, and you can keep looping them for as many times as you have a third permanent to get rid of, or you can just draw cards, I guess, outside of that if you want to. And so that's pretty much going to be the Baba Lysaga deck. So again, the main deal here is you're going to want to ramp Baba Lysaga out as fast as possible, and then just start sacking permanents to draw cards and stay ahead on card advantage. There's not necessarily a way to just like win the game on the spot other than like the Wither Chain combo, but this is going to be the primary way that you're using to get ahead on cards. And it incidentally does also drain your opponents out, so that's not nothing either. And yeah, that is Baba Lysaga Night Witch.